Hello everybody, I'm Chianna Fae. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to tell a story today from a beautiful book called Good Night Time Tales. It's by Molly Brett. It's an old book that I had when I was a very little fairy, and I'd read a story from it for you. This one is called A Spell for Springtime. It was springtime in the wood, after the dark winter days, and all the animals living there were out to enjoy the sunshine, when they saw 3 little elves and a fairy peeping through the bluebells and primroses. They were looking for a home, as the apple trees in which they lived had been cut down to make way for building houses, and this pretty wood seemed just right. The rabbits, mice, squirrels, hedgehog and grey badger were delighted to see them, as the 4 skipped around exploring their new home. "Our wood has fairies in it now," the animals told each other proudly. "We are lucky to have them, as they're getting rare nowadays." But suddenly there was a loud squeal. The smallest elf had been stung by a nettle. Another was frightened by a big snail, and the fairy fell into a puddle, while the 3rd elf tore his clothes on a bramble. "We can't stay here," cried all 4. "This wood is horrid." The animals begged them not to run away. "We would dig and weed, but we have no garden tools," they sighed, starting to do their best with sticks and claws. Luckily, the fairy knew a few spells and recited one, then clapped her hands, and in a moment the animals had all the garden tools needed. For the will to work is good magic for overcoming difficulties. The mice cut down the nettles. 2 robins helped a hedgehog collect dead leaves, while old Mole grunted, "Digging is warm work." So a kind-hearted toad came to help him. But a haughty pheasant, and I can hear them screeching in the background today, a haughty pheasant nearly lost the tip of his tail as an absent-minded rabbit clipped the grass. Soon the fairies were helping too, pushing off snails, watering the flowers, and scolding the squirrels for throwing nutshells about. Now it really is a fairy wood, all the animals agreed, while overhead cuckoo sang gaily, and the fairies danced to his springtime tune. Did you like that story? I think it's a lovely story, but I tell you something, I think those were garden fairies. Those are the types of fairies that live in people's gardens, and they're used to things all being neat and tidy. There are woodland fairies too, and they love the brambles, and they especially love the nettles. The nettles have got healing magic in them, and they absolutely love all of the wildness that comes in the woods. So you will see fairies out in the woods today, and I can hear the pheasant again. Could you hear that? Well, when I say fairies in the woods, I mean the little ones. There's big ones too. There's all sorts of fairies. I'm one of the big ones you get. Little tiny garden fairies and little tiny wood sprites. All sorts of fairies. Some fairies even look like flowers. Did you know that? Have you seen any fairies? I'd love to know if you've heard any or seen any around. But for now, I'm going to go, and I'll see you soon. But please subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can see more stories and meditation stories and lovely songs. And on my Facebook and my Instagram, if you get your mummies and daddies to follow on there, then you can keep up with all of the things I'm doing. And I'd love to see you again soon and hear all about your adventures. And if you've seen any fairies, I'd especially like to hear about that. See if you've met any of my friends. But for now, I'll say bye-bye. Bye-bye.